I think we should be live. So,
All right.
hello,
Hi.
internet. I don't know. I always feel awkward when it's time to be like hi to like fucking strangers who are looking at us from their living room. On the bright side, mostly it's not strangers, anyways. People we know, right? Yay! So there's supposed to be two more people here. I'm going to guess that Shayna is late because of the whole daylight thing, and maybe she don't know what's going on. But
But
I messaged, I sent an email. I'm gonna drop her a message on WhatsApp as well. Um,
yeah.
but I know Saida also said that she doesn't know if she's gonna be here on time. She's a maybe because I think
Right.
she's at work, so she's not sure if she's gonna get home in time for this discussion. Um, what up? We're here, and this book blew my whole fucking mind. I'm gonna stick to what I normally do, which is I'm gonna pass the ball first to the other person. Oh, there's Jaina. Hey Jay.
Hi,
All right. So I'm gonna do the thing where let's David says maybe Shayna's on time, just stuck in the future. That's how time zones work. It's true, it's true. Okay, so I'm gonna first read.
Always on time.
She's a wizard. Okay. I am going to first read this thing, this stuff. The blurb. I'm gonna read the blurb. I don't even have words. Like I'm so this book have me stupid. I'm gonna read the blurb. So it's Iron Widow by ZHAO, which I think I got right because I spent a very long time saying the pronunciation of their name to myself, reading it off their website. So I hope I got that right. Okay. And I know there are other words in here that I do not know how to pronounce, so please forgive me. The boys of Huaxia dream of pairing up with the girls to pilot Chrysalises, giant transforming robots that can battle the mecha aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. It doesn't matter that the girls often die from the mental strain. When 18-year-old Zetian offers herself up as a concubine-pilot, it's to assassinate the ace male pilot responsible for her sister's death. But she gets her vengeance in a way nobody expected. She kills him through the psychic link between pilots and emerges from the cockpit unscathed. She's labeled an Iron Widow, a much feared and much silenced kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up Chrysalises instead. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she's paired up with Li Shimin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in Huaxia. I really don't know if I'm pronouncing that. I'm so bad at this. But now that Zetian, which I googled the pronunciation of, by the way, has had a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage their combined might and infamy to survive attempt after attempt on her life until she can figure out exactly why the pilot system works in its misogynist way and stop more girls from being sacrificed. Okay, so again, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be as good as possible, and instead of just screaming for the next 30 minutes by myself, which is what I really want to do, I'm going to ask first Talia to give me your first impressions, thoughts, feelings, vibes, loves, hates, if there's possibly one, about this book. And then I'll ask Shayna, and then I will gush for 30 minutes. So, Talia first.
Let me begin with what I hate about this book is that it finished.
Yes!
How dare you not have more for me to read? How dare this book finish? How very dare you? Okay. I was gushing over it with Miguel, and I'm like, this satisfies the chaos demon that lives in my head. Like, this has provided great cultural, emotional, and intellectual enrichment for the chaos demon that resides in my head.
And in my heart and in my soul.
That is my entire being, okay? Let's be realistic about it.
Yeah, I
is
said what
my
I said.
entire being.
I said what I said.
Yeah. I'm not too sure whether I love the book more or whether I love the author more, having followed them on TikTok. Absolutely adoring them, right? But this book, I loved it. I thought that there was never going to be a book that could touch Space Between Worlds. Whether it's better or not is irrelevant, but it touched. It touched. I want ZHAO and Micaiah to get together and make like some little book babies for me, because I think I will gladly fall into that cult of madness and be happy.
I have to say that I spent some time trying to decide whether or not I thought this book knocked Space Between Worlds off of number one for me. And in the end, I decided that they were two totally different books engaging with two totally different sets of themes and vibes and feelings. I took the coward's way out and I was like, best book of 2020, best book of 2021, best adult, best YA, boom, done. Can't choose. I
have four chambers of my heart, right? And one occupies the left side and the other occupies the right side. That's all. Like they exist, peacefully. They coexist peacefully, together.
Yeah.
One is a tightly written, tightly woven novel, and the other one is chaos vibes.
To be fair, I actually think that they're both quite tightly and very well written. I wouldn't even say that one is the other.
I listen, the chaos vibes in this one.
Yeah. No, you can't be the chaos vibes in this book. The chaos vibes in this book, like.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Can't beat it.
All right. So Shayna, you go before because I'm obviously getting too excited here. I'm obviously like already jumping inside. Go.
Oh, I'm gonna be that person.
No.
Yes.
No, I love this book. I am. No. I love this book specifically because every single time I thought I had pegged the plot, I knew exactly where this book was going. Like the author just took it another direction. And it was kind of funny because I didn't have anyone to really talk to while I was reading this. I was like trying to talk to my mom about it, and she was just like, no, don't tell me. I'm gonna read it. I'm like, oh. Anyways,
I bought this book for my mother last night after I finished it, and I was like, bitch, happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of went through that same, went through all of the vibes, went through all of the, the ways that this book just kind of threw me. And I enjoyed every second of it. It's kind of funny because it was like, it was just bad bitch vibes like through the whole thing. And it just kept building and building and building. And it didn't want to let up. I didn't want it to let up and stuff. And I think kind of for that reason, if I had to choose between this one and Space Between Worlds, I'd probably choose this one because it threw me, right? Like it kept building. And then by the time it was done, I was like, no, I don't want this to finish. Like, and had that same struggle with when it was done. I was like, my mind is blown. Like I need a minute to myself. But at the same time, I'm like, where's the rest? Where's the next? What's going on? I want to find out more. Like I didn't want to come out of this book at all. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to add to it, but I did. I really love this. And I think, my one hesitation with all of it was, I listened to this book like in the audiobook version, and the author and the person who's doing the reading did a really good job, I think, translating this to to a spoken word. And I think for me, I really want to.
That means you know how to pronounce all the things I mispronounced.
Don't ask me to repeat any of it.
But I think that's the one thing I regret is that there was not a pronunciation guide, which means when I sit to do this, I have to be like, shit, am I getting this right? And I Googled as much as I could when I realized, oh no, I have to say these things out loud. And I don't know that I got past that yet.
I don't know.
I watched like 4 videos on pronouncing.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of the good thing about listening to the audiobook was like I could hear things pronounced as they were supposed to be pronounced. Whether or not I could do it justice, I don't know. But that's also why I really want to go back and like get a written or a digital copy where I can see the words. That way I can kind of connect the sounds with the words, because I'm definitely more of a visual person. So I was that'd probably be the downside for me. Is like, man, if I was trying to just read this straight up, I'd probably get frustrated because I don't know how to like pronounce the words for a lot of the like names and things that were going on. But I mean, with besides all of that, this was still just a fantastic world. It was a fantastic story. It was, I don't know, like everything about it. I thought the pacing was beautiful. There wasn't too much like, there's a lot of information, a lot of things going on, but the way that the author just kind of unveiled a lot of the details as we went, it was all just done so beautifully. I could start to nitpick a few things here and there, but there's so little.
You know,
so
what
little.
My favorite thing about that too is that sometimes there are things to nitpick, and those things ruin the rest of the art for you.
Yeah.
There were things to nitpick here. Sure. Does it fucking matter? No. There's nothing about this there that can, like, you can nitpick and it messes. It doesn't mess with the rest of the perfection of this book. I think that this book is as close to like the only other book we've read and that I've read in a long time that comes close to perfect. The way this comes close to perfect is Space Between
Worlds. Yeah. Like even like okay, like again, we spoke about it being a tightly woven plot, right? If you start pulling at strings, you're gonna take it apart, no matter how tightly woven it is. You're gonna wreck it, right?
Absolutely.
And I just like okay, like there are certain things that your plot needs. You need an intro, you need your villains, you need your this, you need your that, you need this kind of twist, you need that kind of there are things that publishers look for. I don't know about you, but I could not put myself in that writer's brain. I could not put myself into that editor's mode to read this book. I read this and consumed this.
Yeah.
Like the first doubles after lockdown on the side of the road, right?
No, it's true.
I'm still waiting for my doubles after lockdown. Okay, like not all of us have gotten that yet.
Borders are opening, darling. I got you. I got you. I will buy that.
So I want. There's so much that we need to talk about with this book, but there's one thing I want to mention. That no, we go in there. We're gonna talk about the triangle being the strongest shape. We're going to talk about being their fucking nightmare. We're gonna talk about all of those things. And if that takes us past 2 hours, I don't give a shit. Today, we'll talk about it as long as we goddamn want.
The yin and the yang. We gotta talk about that.
But I just want to say, because this is something that could be easily overlooked. And from a craft perspective, not just from a writer's. What are you doing up there? God damn it.
Spying.
She's eating the baby. No, she's eating the kitten's food, but it's whatever. It's fine. As long as she's not knocking it off the shelf. Okay. This is just something that I think from both a craft perspective and any like reader's perspective, it can be easily overlooked. But I remember reading the line about seeing the god's orbital station every couple months. Like you could, like spying it in the sky every couple months. I read that line and I was like,
yeah.
Something.
I paused. Like I read that line and I went, hold on. Because you're reading this about the sacrifice of the hull right? The spirit metal and the husk and all of that. And you're like, okay, how is this really working? And then you get to that line, and I just I fought back. I was like, retreat into your brain. Think about this. And so, like, reading that line, obviously, you know that this is going to come around later.
Yeah.
But all of the ways in which it came around later, while some of them I think were on the list of predictions, I don't think that it was still somehow expected. Like, I still felt surprised. I was like, okay, I should have seen this coming, but for some reason I didn't. I could have seen this coming, but for some reason I didn't.
And the thing is, it was still a surprise.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think that's it comes back to the depth of craft here. I think that the reason we didn't is really because we were so deeply immersed in Zetian.
Yeah.
Right?
That there was a whole other, that there are aspects of war that are more than just black and
what
white.
she's seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just fantastic. That one line, it was a throwaway line, just a passing thought. It's so perfect. That is literally the kind of thing I hope to do.
It's just the little drops of details, right?
Just these
sprinkled,
tiny little things.
just sprinkled. I cannot wait to go back and reread this book. Honestly, like there's so many things.
Incredible. It's incredible. Like, I sat down, and y'all know I read fast, but I sat down and I read this book. I read and I reread this book while I was reading it. That's how good it is. It took me.
Yeah.
I think it took me 2 or 3 hours longer than usual to finish this book, because I kept being like, that was so good, I just want to read it again. I was
a little different. I don't want to say fast forward through it, but I powered through it. It's like, oh my God. What's gonna happen?
To give you an idea, I'm gonna open this up and so like you'll have an idea of why that happened with me. So all you know, right? That I generally don't take notes. Yeah. So we'll talk about, like, I'm not highlighting passages and shit, and nobody got time for that. Yeah. Right. So I will reach here and I'll be like, well, only remember that one line. And Bree, who often is here but could not make it today.
Note taker.
Right. No, Bree would mark passages or like mark lines and stuff that she thought were amazing. I do not fucking do that. I want you all to look at how many things I stopped fucking highlighted in this book. Look at this.
That's like almost entire chapters there, Care.
No, it's not entire chapters. But I think that
that's excessive.
It's a lot.
It's excessive, especially for her.
But it's excessive for me.
But
I want to give you an example.
Totally understand why, though. I totally get it. Like,
I want to give you an example.
I would take a highlighter to this thing and just go, all of it. Now
these highlights stretch from page 11 to page 338 because this is an almost 400-page book, right? Yeah.
It didn't read like one.
No. So fast.
What is the word count on this book?
At almost 400 pages, it's a lot. It's long for a while. It's long for a while. It's significant. It's like a regular adult fantasy length, I think. It's got to be. But I want to read some of the lines that I've highlighted, and then I'm going to let you all talk for a bit because I totally left something on the grill that I knew would take a while because I was like, oh no, I have to start book club now, and I wrote it. It's fine because it's going to be on. It's probably going to be on for like another 5 minutes, but I just don't want to burn the house down by accident.
Yeah, that'd be kind of bad.
It would kind of suck, right? Okay, so starting with like the very first thing or one of the very first things I highlighted, they can't really control what goes on in my head. And I think that frustrates them to no end. On page 37, I highlighted the phrase, I choose vengeance. That's it. Yeah. That's the whole phrase that I highlighted.
Yeah.
Page 95, I highlighted the phrase, be their nightmare, Zetian.
Well, you see me on Twitter, I'm trying to make be the nightmare as a hashtag. You know, I want
Yes.
that to be, you know, the.
It should be.
It should be.
It should be.
On
That's-
page 153, I highlighted the bloodlust in his eyes rouses something primal and deep-rooted inside me. Something that finds it so utterly relatable.
oh. The chapter
And
names in here were like,
the chapter names were
oh,
amazing.
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Yes.
There is
Phenomenal.
only sorry, I totally like knocked my mic over there with that. I read a book just before this, Cambion's Law, which we're going to review for next session, because Cambion's Law technically comes out on Tuesday, but I got my hands on an arc. So the chapter names in that I actually think are even better than the chapter names in this. The chapter names in that are hilariously good.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's the one thing. Like, that's to tell you though how good the chapter names here are so fantastic. But like the last one I'll read and then I'll go run out and check on my food. The very force of their judgment and hatred will make me unstoppable. I embody that goddamn phrase.
Like we should start from the beginning, right? Like her desire, like she's like she knows she's going towards death. She knows this, right? And she's
I choose vengeance. I choose vengeance.
And she's mad at her sister for it. And I remember
I love that Bea keeps saying that to my cat.
Somewhere in the middle where she says, "Yeah, I got you." But somewhere to the middle where she says, they told us to choose subservience or death, and they never thought that we would have chosen that I would have chosen death.
Really?
Like that, and
Really?
that's what made her powerful. Is like, you know, like I don't care. I do not care. I am choosing death. Right? Because that is what she thought was going to happen. She thought she was going to die in the chrysalis. She thought she was going to die. And she knew that her sister was abused her. She knew that her sister was abused her.
Yeah.
To see that in his mind. To see that as a memory. Right?
Yeah.
And that,
I mean,
her that way, she didn't even get to die with the so-called honor that it would have brought to her family.
Yep. No, I think for me it was like the just the fact that like we had.
What did I miss?
I'm kind of getting into it.
Where I said that she somewhere to the middle of the book, she said that they told us to choose submission or death, and they didn't think that she was going to choose death.
Death.
You know, and what modern woman would not choose death? I mean, to be fair, I think that there are a lot of women who would not, who would choose submission. I fucking wouldn't though. But like, I think also that everybody in our book cult would choose death.
would choose death, obvi. But
I mean, between I wouldn't say us and her, but like you give somebody a choice, submission or death, and even if you choose death, a lot of people are not going to say, "Well, I choose death, but not just my own." Right? She went after the man that murdered her sister. She didn't die in a chrysalis, and that man robbed that family. That man robbed her of an honorable death. You know what I mean? The least he could have done.
You know how this stupid fucking man was like, "You deprived a family of their son, bitch." I nearly pelt that whole book when I was reading it on the tablet, so I couldn't.
Forget the family, because a lot of the families were deliberately selling their daughters into. But how many girls?
Yeah, exactly. But that's
you deprive of their own life, of their autonomy, of their,
everything.
Everything.
But that was the point, right? That was the point of this thing. I think, and I think so. We have a habit here of anti-patriarchy books. Of reading those and loving them.
You don't say.
For example.
First chapter, first act. I just love that. I can't vex. Somebody had to die.
I think this one was so much. It was so bold. It was so brazen about fuck the patriarchy, right? Like. Even Raybearer was not quite so, you know what? You know, like
Yeah.
that attitude. Zetian's attitude here was, I can't even. I have no words. I have no. Look at look at me struggling.
This was unrelenting brazenness. This was like, I don't care what you guys think or where you came from or what logic, mansplaining, whatever you're going to throw at me. I'm going to just define and ignore it all and do whatever the heck I want to do. Right. And that was like every turn that, every decision that had to be made along the way by the main character in this book was just like, the things in my heart that I knew I wanted her to make, like she would make. And I was like, yes, please.
She does every single fucking thing that you may not be brave enough to do.
Yeah.
She does. She
does.
No, but they would think she didn't know how to do that. She did anyway.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it is her it is the following that instinct. And people talk, like one of the groups of men, they talk about following your feminine instincts, right? And we silence ourselves, right?
I'm real honest. It took me a second to remember that you were in some of these groups that say shit like that because you troll them.
Right.
Because I was really surprised for a second. I was like, why the fuck? You? Other people, okay, sure, you do what you want, but that's weird for you. Sorry, it took me a second. Sorry, go ahead.
You
please.
forget that the chaos demon that is me, right? That wears the Nicholas suit, right? You forget who's in charge here, okay? Y'all keep forgetting. But anyway, like I was saying, and that whole not all men thing, that is the world's greatest sense of gaslighting, right? That takes place. Like she took that and nobody taught her how to listen to her feminine intuition. Or her intuition. Or just, and people talk about feminine intuition and there's no such thing as feminine intuition. It's fucking common sense that you get gaslighted into not believing. And she was thinking to herself, listen, if they tell me this is the way to survive, it's probably something else I had to do. And that is what she did. And that is how she survived. And that is how she thrived. And she didn't even get a chance to be properly trained in the system. And like I was telling Miguel, I say, you realize every time this girl had to go get a little bit out, the boy just keep cock blocking her.
I mean, but she was able to just figure a lot of stuff out.
To be fair, she did finally get what she did finally get. She triangle. Like
and it's when she got it to her. Is when she got it to. She didn't get one. She didn't get one.
I love it. I loved it.
Great.
That was such a my favorite. I remember the first time I read about Yeezy or Yeezy. I'm not sure how it's properly pronounced. God damn it. I need to look these up.
Yeezy.
Yeezy was first talking about Shimin.
Yeah. Fanboy.
I was sitting down. Listen to me. I was sitting down on my couch and I just yelled, "This man is so gay. I love it." I just yelled, "This man is obviously a bisexual." I just yelled this in the middle of my living room.
Right for reading. I'm like, why?
My family members who were present looked up and they were like,
energy.
I guess this is the book going good over. And I was like, yes. At one point I yelled, "Giant mechas!" And they were like, that's in the book? Yes. So good. I want to try to give, because at this point we're literally just yelling. I am literally just yelling. Sorry, it's not we. I know this is a care problem. I'm very excited. I love this book. I want us. Let's see if I can ask some directional questions. Who's your favorite character?
Nah, I like my triangle. Right, my heart is big enough for all three.
Wow! So you don't have a favorite character. Your favorite is all of them.
I love her. I love Shimin. Oh my god, I love Shimin. Right? Who did the world's worst, committed the world's worst sin in killing his family. Right? And he was not the person you thought he was. Right? At all. So like Easy was who he was. There was never any artifice, there was never any layers, there was never anything that he had to hide really. Right? Like even he said his and oh, let's talk about Easy acknowledging his privilege. He's like, listen, I'm a city boy, I have money, so these things easier for me. He would have had it.
Do you remember when he yelled, "You can't kill me, I'm rich"?
Yes! 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 It's like, but bitch, I'm rich! Listen!
Oh,
Listen! I'm
great.
going to
The cackle,
die!
the cackle I let out when I read that line.
No, listen, you know when I knew he had a crush on what was going to happen, he had not even laid eyes on this man yet. He's like, listen,
And he loved it.
handwriting is his calligraphy is so beautiful. Like, listen, I was like, them gamble.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
To be fair, I knew it was going to end up as a polycule because I follow Zhao on TikTok.
Two people pining over each other is not a love triangle. That's a corner. Listen.
I know. I love them. I love
when this
them.
book got when we decided to do this book. Yes, this was my pick, but I got this rec from Julie, right? And I trust Julie when it comes to books. Like their recs have yet to steer me wrong, right? And I'm so great. I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, so when this book was chosen and I started following the author, I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, this is my birthday. This is not even my birthday. Yeah? This is my birthday pick, but it's not my birthday because I deserve to be celebrated at least 1 month and 3 days in advance. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right. I am open to receiving a signed copy of this book.
We are all open to that.
We're all.
Would they
I will.
Specifically for my birthday.
My
I will
birthday is this
purposely-
month, just for the record.
That's fair. Mine's a long ways off.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Christmas.
Birthday,
Hanukkah.
Christmas. I'm not
Hanukkah.
a fussy person. I just demand the best. That's all. Not fussy. If you had to create with elements from other meat, what would the recipe be?
Hold on,
We
hold
were
on.
told this was definitely
Ooh.
Hunger Games. This was okay.
Yeah.
Was it Hunger Games? This was
Was
way
it-
better.
This was way better. I agree. This had like some it had
So
like
the way this was pitched,
yeah.
the way this was pitched was Pacific Rim meets The Handmaid's Tale.
Right.
That's
With elements with elements of Hunger Games.
Oh, it does. Does it say that with elements of Hunger Games?
Okay.
That was a review I read.
On
Yeah.
review, okay, because I know that the author pitches it, or it is on like press releases and stuff. I see Pacific Rim X Handmaid's Tale, which is incredibly accurate. Honestly, you look at that mashup and you immediately go, "All right, let's see let's see what this is all about."
It is when you read.
But you had me at Pacific Rim, though. Let's be real. You had me
Yeah.
at Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I use Pacific
No,
Rim as
I
one of my
wouldn't go
comps
so
for
far.
Project Obia.
Was that?
Remember, Pacific Rim is one of my comps for Project Obia. I was like,
Yeah.
mecha, kaiju, brah. Like I was basically
It's like
that was basically how I
why
wrote
not
Hero
Project
make it
form.
magic and
Oh,
sci-fi?
God.
It was so perfect. Like I will tell you, this book is a cross between Hunger Games and Pacific Rim, and you'll think you know what I'm talking about, and you'll get something completely different, and you'll still realize that it's correct.
PL said I would only compare to Hunger Games to another book if I wanted to insult the other book. Yikes.
Oh, ouch.
That's pretty ouch. But I mean, I understand. Like some people definitely aren't into Hunger Games. I like the Hunger Games. You know,
like
the first time I read it, I think it was okay. But I do see since then some of the critiques. I think are quite valid. But this book.
Like, could we talk about the protag?
David says that the face I made is exactly how they just react.
I can see David doing that.
I was gonna say, like, I think I kind of agree with the Hunger Games comparison because I felt like there were a few strands of similarity there, right? Where you had like every single like matched pair had to have like a media sponsor agreement or whatever, right? And so they were kind of like spinning the tails of each of the matched pairs.
You see,
For
I
the
actually felt like that was
Chrysalises.
more of a Pacific Rim thing because the
Eh.
the Jaeger pilots were
Yeah,
celebrities, right? So
that's true. But I
Yes,
mean, like,
they were celebrities, but it felt more Hunger Games because they had like a handler
yeah,
and they had like a
okay.
PR person that was
Mhm.
crafting.
like, yeah.
Don't they
these
have that in
narratives.
the? Don't they have that in the?
But then it was
No.
also like from
Yeah,
the
they do.
perspective of like you have the army that is like very strongly like driving how
Yeah.
each of their roles is perceived and being played. Plus you had like the cameras that were like broadcasting them during battle and like after battle and how strongly like they
I
were
see
kind of
that.
archetyping that.
I guess for me, that doesn't feel like something exclusive to the Hunger Games.
I
But I do
mean,
see what you mean. No, I
yeah,
do see what you mean.
But it was
like I can see how people want to like label it as that though.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more of a
I
plot
get you.
point in Hunger Games than it was in
Yeah.
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
But can we
I
talk
guess so,
about
guess so.
the protagonist needing a wheelchair to get around because
That was
because of her foot
great.
binding?
That was
It was actually because she was
Foot
shot.
she
In the
got
stomach.
shot. Yeah.
It was because she was shot in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needed a cane.
But they took
Yeah.
the cane away from
the
her
cane-
because they realized that she could have used it as a weapon, so it was taken away from her.
Right, but she didn't get the
Literal-
wheelchair. She got the
Oh.
wheelchair because she
because
was
of the
shot.
bullet wound. Yeah.
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 So she spent
I
the
love-
bulk of the bulk of the story in a wheelchair. And
I
know.
don't think that was even the bulk. Maybe like the last third of the book.
it felt like she was in a wheelchair.
Maybe
for
last
long
40% at most.
Yeah, it was
She
she
had to be
got
carried
shot.
by Shimin. Like Shimin carried
She
her.
got shot like a little more than halfway through the book.
It was 62% if I recall correctly.
Okay, yeah. See, I was
Oh yeah, that's like
a little more than
more
halfway.
than half. That's more than half.
That's why I said about a third of the week because it's closer to like
62,
66%.
66.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I give it to you.
But yeah, she spent like a good bit of the book needing mobility assistance. Actually, she spent all of the book because she broke her cane coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And that was
true.
because of this practice of foot binding, so that she could,
Which is still a real practice.
yeah.
Yeah.
When could you imagine when she saw the other women that were these women that she
Oh.
was to look down on?
That jealousy,
realize
man. I
that.
felt
But
that.
also, the other two women did not have bound feet.
Exactly. And
Yes.
she was in awe of them. She's like, these are
Yeah.
the women we were trained to, and you see her unpacking like, yes, she had her mental narrative, like, okay, this is bad. This is, she could see it for herself. But she realized that she still had things that had to be unpacked. Right. And I thought that was so beautiful. It was so like I talk a lot about chaos and things like, you can't shoot me, I'm rich, as being heavy-handed, and then there comes this moment of nuance, this moment of what's the word I'm looking for? Like not obvious, subtle. This moment of subtlety where she's subtly where you could see that she has unpacked this and like, wow. I was like, okay, so it's not
like,
just we are really being taught things that are detrimental to us, because she could see the obvious and she could see the obvious personally, but then seeing other women have that mobility, have that strength outside of the suits, she's like, wow, like we really are, like, what is so wrong? Why are we so fed? Right? And then when she found out why, and it's like it like she knew, and it still was able to rock her world just like it rocked ours.
Yeah.
And that was in line. I don't know if you all know this scandal with, I think it was a Japanese university. I'm not too sure. Was it Japanese? I can't remember. There was an issue with a university where the female candidates, they couldn't go past, like, as soon as you reach a certain mark, that's it, they stop correcting from there, kind of thing. Like, so the male candidates were always above these female candidates because they deliberately rigged the exams accordingly. And when I read that, where like, okay, where they literally rigged it so that the female co-pilot had to push to the point of death just to be considered less than or equal to their male counterpart.
Yeah,
That
because the female pilots, the female pilots
Yeah.
literally had to be
Oh,
better and stronger than the males.
but
and that's the thing
how
that really gets
how
me is
sweet was it when she
they
turns it
torture and lunch.
around? No, she turns it around
Oh,
at the
with
end on
Emperor?
them, on the Emperor. Yeah, like how badass was that?
because he had how
Oh.
many thousands?
Thousands.
And
I mean,
if,
Emperor class
His
is
spirit
literally way beyond her spirit pressure, right?
right.
Because even she was like,
Theoretically.
he's right, there's no way.
I-
There's no way I could
I have
do X.
I have a theory. We haven't found her spirit pressure like ceiling yet. That's my theory.
Oh no, I think so for real. I agree.
Yeah.
Because remember they described, and I think this is going to definitely be an important plot point, is that they actively described that she and Shimin both had this ability of adaptive spirit pressure. So they can, it sounds to me like they can both
Kinda
like
like-
potentially
it's like a
exponentially
boost, right?
Yeah,
Like
they can
boost each other.
exponentially grow.
Right.
Exactly, especially with each other. So I feel like that's going to become important later on. And I think that it was important for what happened at that time for her to be like, you know what? There's a chance I don't survive this. This bitch gotta go to the girl's seat because I am not risking that right now.
I'm not risking death right now.
Yeah. But it's also, I think, important to note that the Emperor, he not the Handan Emperor, but the
Yes.
What? wait,
Aw.
wait, what are you laughing at? What are we laughing at?
David Giddler's comments.
Yes.
What?
Lindsay
Oh
Lohan.
wow, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
The limit
So
is not
first David
exist.
says the amount of reworld counterparts to that is probably staggering. Yes. And also Lindsay Lohan voice, the limit does not exist. Correct. The limit does not
The
exist.
date was
And
October 3rd.
But I don't even remember what I
man.
was saying anymore. It's just getting
Sorry.
straight out of my head. No, it's fine. The Emperor. So when she switched places, when Zetian switched places with the Emperor, they even in that space where he allowed her to take control and do whatever the fuck, right? When it was, even though he was sitting in the seat with less active input, so basically he was just the power source. He was still able to just push her out of the way when he was ready.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. That was important to note that she really made the right choice there, because she could have
definitely died.
she would have been cannibalized
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
She easily cannibalized.
Again, her instincts was spot on. Like I am reading the Wikipedia article on the empress that she was modeled on, was Zetian, and I am like, I could do with like a historical biopic of her, whatever, like, as is, minus the sci-fi elements that I've come to know and love, right? But like when I was reading this book, I knew they were young, but I still cast my favorite older Asian actors and actresses, right? As one does. So example, Michelle Yeoh was Zetian because
she's Michelle Yeoh.
Because she's fucking Michelle, okay? Like, duh. With oh god, this guy from the guy from Fast and Furious 3, the one that died in Tokyo Drift.
The guy who plays Han?
Han, yeah.
I can never remember his actual name.
Yeah, no,
I think
that's me.
Sorry.
And of course, Daniel Bacon. Song Kang and Daniel Bacon. Yes, I'm saying Bay. It's Daniel Bacon. Like, mentally, that's who was, that's who my triangle was. That's who made up my triangle.
Honestly, I imagined Li Shimin as Indian. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. All that is like it does not matter.
You're muted, Care.
Sorry, yeah. He was what we call here in Trinidad Chindian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chinese Indian mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my head, that's what he looked like. He was mixed.
Oh,
to be fair, he was probably like more of a European mix because looking at where China and Eastern Europe and he was probably more like European Chinese mix, but I don't care.
I literally,
I don't care.
I cast based on my thirst levels. Okay,
Fair.
that's what I did.
That's fair.
I'm
So do I.
There's some younger.
I mean, who doesn't, honestly?
Exactly.
Like, how did they fall? Like each
Hollywood
and every one of the
directors,
main actors and
producers
actresses,
don't.
I watch them individually. You just tell me they're in, and I'm watching. And then they say, okay, let's cast from Nicola's fantasy list and put it in a movie.
And exclusively from Nicola's fantasy list.
Exclusively from my hidden list.
Oh man, I'm trying to think who I was picturing. I sometimes I have a hard time with this, right? Because I don't want to like take away from like the descriptions in the novel by assigning it to a particular person. And sometimes I do, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, this would be like the perfect person. I don't know. I'm struggling with that because I didn't have anyone in particular, like casted in my mind. But I thought like I was like, shit, I would have like a really hard time casting this because there would be so many options out there that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I pictured a specific person either. It was more like I definitely had a specific like ethnic or racial background, which obviously it's based on ancient China. The fuck care, duh.
Duh.
Yeah, but like for example, Shimin, I didn't, I decided he was supposed to be of mixed heritage in the book too, right? So
right.
I was like, I get to choose what this looks like, so I'm going to, even though it was probably more likely. But I think he was supposed to be a little bit darker, is what they said.
See, I kind of went for more of a like a. Oh, I hesitate to say it, but like more of like a Jason Momoa type vibe there. Like
I think Jason Momoa could pass for half Indian, but what if
right.
I could have gone with
he could be half anything. He could be half anything he wants.
Jason Momoa and just be like,
yeah, boy.
I don't mind, and I'm not mad at it.
So before we turn this into just a thirst rant, because that's what it's turning into.
That's where we're headed.
I'm not complaining.
That's definitely my fault.
It is your fault, absolutely.
And I did
absolutely.
I'm not sorry.
Would better with a billion tattoos all over their body, so I had to imagine both of them with tattoos on their body.
I thought we said we were leaving the thirst rant.
Oh, my bad.
I said I wasn't sorry.
Well, I'm in charge here, damn it.
All right, fine.
I'm gonna stop, but I'm not sorry.
No, I mean, you don't have to be sorry. I'm not asking you to be sorry. I'm just asking you to like, let's come back to other. There's so much else to talk about in this book, right? Like,
okay, let's be real. Let's talk about how you're already sending girls to die in a chrysalis, and this fucker murdered her.
Yeah, wow. You mean Murder's sister?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's something here.
Kill him based on, well, she was my sister and she died on
it's not. I actually want to bring attention to something different about that. The misogyny in this world is so, and I'm gonna say this is a weird ass fucking thing to say. The misogyny is well crafted.
Yes.
Let me explain. You see, y'all know what I'm talking about. All you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But let me explain for those who don't.
Woman, explain
like
it.
All societies that like the realism of how misogyny is presented is beyond so much of what, because I haven't actually read The Handmaid's Tale, and I would imagine that that's a large part of where that comes from, is the kind of patriarchal society that we're dealing with here. I haven't actually read it. I haven't watched it either. I don't plan to. No offense. Just
we live in it. Do we? I mean,
you understand? So I want to draw some attention to some of those things that really highlight how misogyny is just a top to bottom lived in thing. Her family was one thing, recognizing that her grandmother and her mother would not choose to leave with her, would not choose to leave the father behind. Right?
Mhm.
David says we're going to clip here saying the misogyny is well crafted and used during any future presidential campaigns. First of all, fuck you. Second of all, feel free, because then I will just promote this goddamn book.
And that's all we want. I mean,
so let me sorry I was explaining. So it's from the part where like the mother and the grandmother wouldn't leave because of this ingrained idea of what their purpose is and what they're for and how there's nothing else for them, and this is all that there is, you know. How deep and how beyond that goes. Two things, like one, the Fox pilots murdering, beating the girls.
mhm.
But two, also remember when, excuse me, the other female pilot, the Black Tortoise pilot, the Black Tortoise's Iron Princess, was like, do you need cover powder?
Yes.
You could come to me. You can come to me anytime. You can come to me whenever. And how Zetian was just like,
Y'all need
y'all
this.
just let this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all just
Y'all
vibe
just-
with the beating? What is happening?
Every single bit.
Y'all
of-
just put up
of
with
what
this shit.
seems to be outlandish and outrageous. I
Mm.
can point a real world example.
Yeah.
There a few years ago, I can't remember how long ago, and I can't remember who it was. It was a makeup artist that on, I think, domestic violence, their visibility says, okay, well, if you have bruises, this is how you cover it up to go to work. And she was lambasted for it, right? And it was like, you know, how this, okay, so if hair is turning purple, this is the color you use to color correct your bruises. This is how you cover up. And again, she's lambasted for it. You know, it's like, why are you teaching people to cover it up when they should be showing it? And I'm like then I agreed with it, but like now it's like, if I need to get from point A to point B just to survive, do I think that, you know, I need to survive, and survival is a valid thing, right? Survival is a valid thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, but again, we're coming back to us people who are, thanks, babe, strong. Yeah. To us people who what do you call it, where we perpetuate the culture in which it comes from, right? And look at us. Good thing I remember more. He bought me a glass. This is awesome, right? Where, okay, do you cover it up? Do you hide? What do you do when faced with this?
Yeah.
And like these women felt so burdened that all they could do is help where they can, and sometimes it's in the cover up.
I actually don't even think that I would say that they felt so burdened. I think that they were just like, well, this is the way the word works.
Felt,
This is
like
the
I
way
said,
the world
felt,
works.
because, and the reason I say felt is because what else am I going to do? What about what is her name? The
But
one
this
who
is
had
what
the
I'm saying.
children
Like,
and turned
it's
on
I can't remember, but that's the Black Tortoise pilot.
yeah, Black Tortoise pilot.
Yeah.
Where, because she like, her allegiances were to her children, right? Her allegiances were to her children. She's like, well, no, right? You literally caused my downfall.
I don't
You
even
were-
know. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I really enjoyed about this. Do you really know for sure if they were holding their children hostage?
No, I'll tell
They
you why.
could just as easily,
Not
just
a
as
bit.
easily.
Because
not
look at how
Yeah,
easily they were able to prove to that guy that they tortured, that they had his son when they didn't. Poor boy sleeping in the bed.
Yeah.
Not even that. I don't think that they needed. I don't actually think they needed to be coerced. I don't think that they needed to be coerced. I don't think that they needed their. I don't think their children. Yeah.
All you had to do was tell them your children, right? Because remember, if something, if she.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I don't actually think, even if that is really what happened. What I'm getting at is the excuse that the Black Tortoise pilots used was, they have my children. Do we even know if that's if that is what they were told? Do we even know if they were coerced into doing what they did? Because if they had my children, that's that you're coercing the black tortoise into doing it. What I'm saying is, I don't even think necessarily that the black tortoise was coerced, that the pilot was coerced.
Do you think that? So you don't think that they were? I don't think
not
that they were
necessarily with their children.
outrightly told. But remember when she said if she didn't comply, then her family, and she did things because if she didn't comply, her family would be killed.
No, she told Zetian.
No, I'm talking about Zetian herself. At another point, if she didn't comply, her family would have been killed. Her family would, three generations would have been wiped out.
Oh yes, no. You mean no. When she no. What
Remember,
she was saying
so
is, if she killed the pilot, 3 generations of her family would be killed.
Right, which means that if they rebel, then their family gets hurt. It's something that happens. It's something that is part and parcel of their culture. So I don't think that the black tortoise pilot was explicitly told. I think she just thought that if she didn't do,
she just understood it.
Yeah, because that's a perpetual.
I think that is perpetual
threat,
that's
fair.
I think that's fair. For me, it feels a little bit different simply because they are complicit in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's why, to me, it doesn't feel quite the same. Because as well, there's that point where the black tortoise pilot tries to flip it on Zetian. And she's like, well, they have your family now, you better not do anything. And Zetian is like, bitch!
You know the part where they went into the city. And the father was like, no, think about your brother. It's like, when is it going to be my turn? When are they going to think about me?
And she's just like, nah, you're in my way.
She's always giving.
Way.
Giving. And at no point did they give. And the one thing they did give to her was to ensure her fertility, which would have given her even more family to be used against her. Right?
Right.
But again, it's how the misogyny of this place is just so deeply crafted.
Yeah,
it's deeply built into the foundation of
this
world in ways that if I were writing this would make me uncomfortable to write.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like. Like, that's how deep it goes. And I think that's something else, because even the character who was railing and boldly firing back and against this misogyny and these patriarchal conformities had her moments where she fell into that role too, and she was part of it. And sometimes she was aware and she acknowledged that, well, this is a means to an end. It has to be what it has to be right now, but hopefully it'll be worth it in the end. And then there were other times when she maybe didn't even realize it. Like, even when she squashed the black tortoise's head, right? And she was like, I had done the same thing that all these other people, all these men had been doing, is I had underestimated a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because again, like, she sees that being a whole and full person. And again, they're talking about the yin and the yang and so on, the good and the bad and the good. And it's like, when you underestimate a person, you sometimes underestimate the bad that is in them, just as you underestimate the good that is in them, which is what she did initially too. Oh my God, my boy.
Shimin.
Which she did to Shimin.
Yeah.
Shimin.
Right? Where she like, okay, well, he's a killer, he's gonna kill me. Right? Not realizing that he was so well written. So well written.
It's really interesting that you say he was so well written, because I was really torn on whether or not he was well written at all. Because there's so much of this book where he really seems like a 2-dimensional character.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that I spent a lot of the book, and the first bit of the book that we met him in, it took several chapters before he really gained any depth. And to me at least, right? Because he seemed very tropey at the beginning. He seemed very tropey, and he seemed almost like, are you trying to write this guy as stupid, as autistic, like badly, like you're poorly writing?
Well, okay, I can see that. I think for me,
he was written as somebody closed. Like, I thought at first I thought it, and like when I had to look back on the book, and I realized that what he did was he was closed off.
Right.
That would have
He was-
given him that.
he was
But what I'm
very,
trying to
like-
say-
and
and
He was
it's not
like
just that,
very
but, like,
reserved and like, you know, and very
But,
like
like
the
let
parts
nobody
had
in,
no
let
hope
nobody-
left.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even the parts, I think, even the parts where it was kind of like at the beginning where he's not looking at her, I'm like, what the fuck is that about? And then we learn about his eyes, and it's like, bruh. Really though? And the
Yeah.
idea, just the simple concept of the big murderer being like, you know, fixing his glasses after this fight, like at the end, just being like, his big bottle no, like not bottle nose, but
bottle
like
glasses.
bottle cap,
Coke bottle glasses.
bottle. Yeah.
Oh man, I thought that was great because I really did at first. I was really confused about what she was going for with this character until we really started to like dig past it.
Yeah.
And
we
that
do
took
with
time.
people. We do that with people.
We do, but what's even better about this for me is that we had to dig past it.
Yeah.
I think in another book, in a lesser book, unfortunately, is probably what I would have to say. We would get past it too quickly. We would get past it and we would see the depth of this character too quickly, too fast, right? Because part of the thing is that we are afraid, I think, many of us, I am certainly as a writer, afraid of writing a character who is two-dimensional or who isn't perceived as a whole person. And
Could we
or
talk
is just
about
perceived as a cinnamon roll and only a cinnamon roll, right? I would like to tell you though, Shimin is the character. He's my cinnamon roll wrapped in a steel box, and that's my type. Full stop. That's my fantasy type. You give me a cinnamon roll in a steel box, I will swoon for it every
a
time.
beautifully scarred, rusted up old steel box?
I don't care. It's a steel box,
Right?
and inside is a gooey cinnamon roll.
And what I was, you know what there was a part in the beginning when Easy was saying, well, you know, his calligraphy is so beautiful. I was like, please don't give me that. Well, you need to separate the art from the artist, forgetting how important calligraphy in Eastern cultures, like how they like, okay, calligraphy says something about you, right? I was like, he is literally fan. That is the next corner of the triangle. Because I knew from the TikTok that there was an appropriate love triangle, right? And like everything I know about the author from their TikTok, right? Zetian feels like a beautiful self-insert from a very flawed, self-aware person. Flawed in what people think of.
Are they a self-insert? I don't know.
You go back and look at their TikTok and tell me you can't believe they're gonna kill somebody and power a ship. Tell me that with the force of their will and chaos vibes. Tell me you're not gonna believe that. I believe that 150%.
No, I'm not saying that I don't believe.
Or maybe I inserted the author in.
I was not going to say. Are you sure it's not a self-insert from you? Like it sounded more like you decided you idolize the author in these ways already. So
Listen,
this might as well be the author because
plucking my eyebrows is not gonna give me that Princess Diaries moment, and that's all they did. You know that stereotype from like 90s, late 2000s.
That's true. You know, that's true.
Teen romance. You take off your glasses, you pull on the ponytail, and voila.
Et voila.
Perfection.
Yeah, she's all
her
that.
Eyebrows done by her best friend romantic interest.
She has she eyebrows done by Shiman.
I mean,
by one of Shiman.
And quite frankly, right? If your man like does he love you once in your life?
Yeah, if your man can't do your eyebrows, what's your man for?
Miguel could do my eyebrows.
You give him a pair of tweezers and find out.
I go see. You know, he did anyway. I'm gonna get to that.
All right. So then, if we don't have a favorite character, that question was asked half an hour ago. who is, or what is your favorite scene?
As a person that does not like romance in books, right? That scene where Shimin an easy kiss and then pulls her in for that kiss.
It was a hug. What? Anyway.
You know they coitused after. You know they were coitusing. It was off screen.
No. It's not that, It's not that, I'm trying to remember if they ended up having to leave for a battle, but no, this was the night before. So yes, obviously. But that's not the point.
That is competing with this other scene where Shimin was talking to Zetian and telling her, but this is so rare and so magical. You all love each other. Like, don't let it go to waste. And it's like, is he shipping them? It's like, listen, yeah, I love you and thing and everything, but like, wow. Like, I like you and I want you and thing, but
well, they're all good. My favorite scene is when they beat the shit out of the headless person, the headless Chrysalis. Fuck that headless Chrysalis. Bang, bang, bang. Ripping off both your legs, bitch. Yeah, no, that was my favorite.
No.
I guess, yeah, but that's so well written.
My favorite scene is right back towards the beginning when she kills and she gets her revenge and she stands outside of this chrysalis and says, I am your worst nightmare. That is the scene.
Actually, no, you're right.
That is the scene.
About that scene. You're so right.
So I think your real question.
I was listening to this in my car.
So that's number one, and using the shit out of the headless thing is number two. Correct. No, you're correct. You're correct. That's true. That's the only number one scene. It's true.
We were just arguing about what's number two scene.
I'm gonna call BS on this right now.
I think those are the three key scenes in the book. Because again, I don't like romance, but I was so heavily invested in this one, right? That I was like, no, I have to give you props for making me like aspects of a genre that I do not generally enjoy.
I know exactly why we liked the romance, because I also did. And as we all know, romance makes me uncomfortable. So, however, I really liked this. I loved this romance. I was into it. I was shipping it. I was there. I wanted it. I was excited for it. I was happy about it. And I actually think it's because their love and their romance is so much more like what I believe love and romance should look and feel like.
Yeah.
And it's so much more truly understanding and selfless and infinite, like Easy describes.
What I also like about it is that it wasn't necessarily about the romance itself. It was about this, like them being able to come together and actually work as a team way better than anyone else was able to before, right? And kind of disproving that theory that like, oh, it takes two people to pilot a chrysalis, right? And there's like a theory that you could try to use other people to as like a to like recharge their chi, but like just the fact that you could say like no, we are a unit. We are a unit.
Yeah.
And the fact that like the romance kind of helps to finally build and create this, create this togetherness.
They worked in the opposite because she was hidden.
Because like her relationship with like one or the other was incomplete until it was that triangle, right? It was completely and utterly incomplete until you complete that triangle. And like, and to me, that was like, not only plays into the part that like, this is a higher form of romance. This is a higher form of what, love and that representation of like love interests like really should look like. But it was just this integral part of bringing the whole plot together too. I think it had that duality.
And I think that whether or not this was an intentional metaphor parallel, I think it's key to understand that part of the reason they worked is we have this, and I think this is one of the things that makes romance uncomfortable for me, is this stringent monogamy in sort of what I think we often consume as traditional romance, this heteronormative monogamy, right? Yeah. And that makes me so uncomfortable. Never mind that I am currently in a heteronormative monogamous relationship. Like that's not necessarily how I believe in love or how I believe in romance, And because I identify as both as poly and bi pan, right? Like that's how I identify, and I think that it's so key and important to understand that one human being, which is what that kind of crown of monogamy is that this one other human being is everything to you, right? Which is unhealthy.
And I think that feeds into the thing that I need to be your everything. And that, you know, it's ego based, and
no, it is, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's what I'm getting at. That's exactly what I'm getting at. It is ego based, and I think that's what I loved so much about this, is that one, their love had nothing to do with ego, right? Mm-hmm. At least not in the sense that we were describing, and it was an acknowledgement that the love that we have is not the love that you two have. And what I can be to you is not what that person can be to you. What I can give to you is not what that person can give to you. And maybe you need both, and that's okay. There's room for both, right? Well, there's not a finite amount of love that you can give me. Your heart is not, in fact, a box, right? Like this isn't. We can all fit there. It's fine. Just exponential. It's fine.
We don't have to choose our favorite.
Exactly. We don't have to choose, right? And it's honestly, I am so grateful that this is a young adult novel that will be promoted to young adults, not just adults. Because I mean, let's be real, adults read young adult novels. That's like, and this is what we considered, I think, upper YA as well. These characters at least are in their late teens, into 20s. And I'm so grateful for that, because I can't describe how much I would have been vilified, perhaps as they would, to have read this or seen this as a child, as a teenager, right? When I had situations like this where people were like, well, you have to choose. You can't like date both of them, or you can't they can't both be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever. And I'd always be like, but why? I think have the same feeling.
You know, it's okay if he's my other boyfriend, if he's also your other boyfriend.
You really in this country?
In this
country, 15
in any no.
Your whole ass.
In any country.
In any country.
Thank you.
But she did solve the anyway.
But you see what I mean? Like, I think
that, you know, she solved the problem. She solved the love triangle problem. He said, how did you find the square of the hypotenuse? And I'm like, yes. But he was
I love that
triangle joke.
I love that acknowledgement, right? That it doesn't all need to be like, this just doesn't need to be one person. Like, your love isn't a limited thing that you can only hold on to for one other human being. And I love that. That was, honestly, I want more romances like this in the books I read. And this is not a romance novel, sure, right? I don't give a shit.
No, but the romance, to be fair, subplot was so beautifully
well done and so beautifully integrated. I agree.
Can you talk about the night that they found out how Shimin was forced to become addicted to alcohol?
Oh yes,
through her dreams, and she's banging down the door. And he's like, no, y'all need to be together. I don't care if, you know, no. And Easy was like, Shimin. And that was it. And he opened the door for them. And she's like, he can do for you, but I can't do for you. Okay, how are we gonna, you know? And it's like, it wasn't a feeling of jealousy in that moment, right? I don't care about when they kissed and she didn't feel jealousy. In that moment, she did not. It at no point was jealousy coded. She's like, okay. It's like, okay, well, you are such an integral part of the team. I actually thought the scene would have taken place right there, but they had more pressing issues, and you know, I had to wait to get that payoff later on, which paid off. But yeah, in that moment, when she realized, okay, he can do something for you that you need that I can't give, but I can do for you what he can't do for you. And that scene was also paralleled in the torture scene. She's like, he was here to lend us his chi. Like, how much sweeter this torture would have been, you know? It's like, I think that torture scene foreshadowed the kiss or the hug or the whatever that took place later. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your payoff came in moments you did not think. It wasn't like the sex, it wasn't the
Well,
whatever.
I mean, to be fair, all the sex was closed door. I have no
Mhm.
problem with that. I don't want to think about mine as bullying. Gross. Gross. But I'm cool with that. I think that the payoff is not about, it had nothing to do with sex. The payoff was about seeing the relationships that we wanted to see bloom,
Yeah.
blossom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Precisely.
And it was
Um,
so lovely. So we are,
sorry.
you talked about the misogyny, right? Being so well
Mm-hmm.
crafted. Can we talk about that ending when she found out?
Which part of the ending when she found out the
That they
invaders,
weren't the Hundans that invaded Earth.
but
It's
they
humans
invaded
that
the Huns.
invaded their planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those crumbs were also really well planted.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were like, and it's kind of funny because it's like as you get closer to like the end of the book, you're just kind of like, wait a minute, and it all just kind of starts to come together, right? And then you get to that freaking epilogue, and I was like, boom.
It made sense, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that ending coming.
The combination for me, again, it was a situation where you were like, I think this is it, but I can't know. There's no way to know.
Yeah.
So
like I kept having thoughts, right, of like,
yes,
this doesn't jive with like someone defending a home, fighting for a home. I'm like, there's logic pieces here, and then the epilogue happened. I was just like, and I go literally, I was like doing laundry or something, and I was just like, yes, I knew it, and like, and I just
because you have like all of these pieces that don't quite fit together, and you're like, no. This picture is not the picture they're telling me.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the picture. And I think this is the actual picture, but I don't know because I'm still missing one piece. And that's what it was like for me. It was just like, it just kind of fell together because there were all of these little tiny breadcrumbs.
Reverse Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, like one, it was how the Huntons, how they could basically activate the raw. They could activate the raw key of the earth and like harvest it, whereas humans couldn't. One, how they were like at the end, two, how they moved through the forest without damaging it, right? Like so cleanly, taking care of it. The satellite, again, the gods orbiting station, like all of those things are like added up like little by little, and you're like, yeah, the gods, the sacrifices to the gods.
Like how do you spin that for like the
400 pages? How do you spin that for 400 pages?
But then it's like in the context of the story, that's like 200 years.
Here's another thing. According to the, and this is the thing that I am not clear on, possibly because I was reading with too much excitement that I wasn't keeping the timeline in my mind clearly. I'm very bad at like long timelines. No, I'm very good at timelines of events in the book. I'm not always good at timelines that are about events outside of the book. Because if you talk to me about consistency within a novel, I am on that shit. Outside
the backstory of outside elements is a problem.
That's what I don't always remember that as cleanly. And so what I'm trying to recall is so humans had been there for at least the 200 years since the emperor
was downed.
Since the emperor froze himself, right? But 2 millennia ago is when the aliens invaded. So is it that humans invaded 2 millennia ago? Or is it that they invaded 200 years ago, but it's been kept, that secret has been kept the entire time? is what I'm
think-
trying to nail down.
Yeah.
Yeah?
If it's in 200 years, then the emperor himself would have known that they
Exactly. And
Right.
that's because when the message came in from Yeezy about how it's all a lie, blah blah, the emperor whipped around. And the emperor was angry at the gods for not even helping him.
And they said, why would I help you though?
And that kind of even suggests to me that maybe he's supposed to be one of them, perhaps. Or he knows them in a personal capacity, which I would also imagine that he should know them in a personal capacity because he was the emperor and he was the ruler in the same way the sages were the rulers. So the sages knew about them, right? So this is the place that this is where I'm at now.
This
is the
is
information that I'm
he should
crunching.
have had.
Right. So this is information he should have had, whether or not he's one of them or whatever, because it's the same arrangement, right? So the sages did what we asked of them and we let them do whatever the fuck they want. If you do what you ask of us, we will leave you alone. So was that the arrangement that the old emperor had with them too before he froze himself? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good question.
Or is he maybe one of them? Does that mean that they've been there for 200 years or have they been? Because 200 years ago is when they lost the province, right?
Right.
Which tells me that maybe they've obviously been there for longer, but is it that they had been there for so long? Like
So
for their
But I mean, like in my
That's what I'm
mind, I was kind of associating the fact that like the loss of the province is like the story that the government or army or whoever is spinning to like to force this battle to happen, right? So I kind of felt like that in itself was fiction. Like that was just a story told.
Because even the emperor was like, we lost it. What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that what I believe happened though is they came to an agreement, like, okay, there'll be battles happening and so on, but you stay by, like not so much a ceasefire, but like, okay, this is my territory, that is yours, right? And like, okay, but they're still battling for this. Like, okay, this is the mid zone that we haven't figured out as yet. And then the Hundans, of course, began to reclaim their land. And that is what happened. As to whether it's been 2 millennia, it feels like where would they have gotten the like? Who would have given them that? Would it have been like Hundan traitors that said, "Here, what? Like when all they take over, like treat my god, you know?" Or like, you know, that kind of thing. Like I joke about telling Alexa, thank you, because when they, you know, my robot overlords take over, I want to be the last to die, kind of thing. Like I am one. I think this.
I honestly just kind of assumed that the humans landed as colonists and they were like, oh, natives, let's just kill them.
But then they might have had more control over.
Always happens.
They thought that China was the only bastion of like human existence on the left.
I don't even know if that is okay. When you say that China is the only bastion of human existence left, you mean across what would have been the planet Earth, right?
What would have been Earth? Yeah.
I don't know because they do hint in the book at the existence of others, because there's a part of the story, there's a part of the history where they talk about, I think it was the emperor self, perhaps, who went all the way to another outpost that they had lost communication with another city to collect whatever and bring it back and all of that tralala. So it suggests that whether or not they think this is Earth, there's certainly multiple colonies. So, excuse me, I assume then they don't believe that they are the only,
not okay. So,
well, I mean, they explained at the very beginning that there are other colonies of like human civilizations kind of spread throughout the galaxy, because the whole story that's been spun to the people is that, you know, they're the
galaxy. How we reach galaxy?
I don't know. It's whatever. But
I think you guessed galaxy after.
yeah,
Like if humans
Yeah,
have
no. Yeah.
colonized
You
it,
like you can make the you can certainly extrapolate that there are
yeah, you
colonies
would
in
have
the galaxy. Yeah. But I meant
Yeah.
like on where Zetian knows and lives. Do the
Mhm.
people who live in that place as Huaxia or whatever, or maybe the city or wherever, like
Yeah.
those people who live in that, not province, but those multiple provinces, I suppose, the people who exist there, do
Mhm.
they understand or believe that there are people in places outside of their bubble? Essentially,
Yeah.
is what I'm getting.
They
I think
do.
that
They do.
what I think that they
And I
think-
think that they do. Yeah, I
They
think that they
do.
do.
I think
I
that
think they
they
do.
think that they exist, but not as a as a powerful entity, as a country. You know what I mean? Like they talk
Mhm.
about nomads, they talk about outposts, but I don't think that they think that other countries exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Hmm.
I like okay, I think they are
Like something outside of this like
yeah, they might
country
be
or
a village,
culture.
they might be a family, they might be,
Yeah.
a fort, but not another city, not another
Yeah.
country, not
I
another
mean,
I don't think that
they talk
think
about
what's
they talk about different tribes, but everything is within that same kind of
They talk about the nomadic tribes. But
yeah.
they
They
don't
talk.
talk about the only time that they talk about another settlement
Mhm.
is when they talk about the emperor who
emperor
had went
visiting.
and
Yeah.
visited and collected whatever that they lost communication with. But I think they also knew damn well that the emperor was real and frozen and exactly where he was,
Yeah.
because they were in communication with the gods. I think the gods wanted the emperor frozen. I think the gods leave him right blasted well there. The gods had the flower pox cure in the first place. That's why they have it now, because they get that kind of technology and upgrade and shit from the gods. And I think that that they say so. I think that the sages knew, because they so easily ignored the nomads. How they were like, oh, we come across this all the time. We will investigate it at some other juncture. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I am really looking forward. I did not know if this was supposed to be a duology or a trilogy.
I was
There
just gonna
is-
ask that.
there's another book to be announced.
Right. I know
with
that
the
there's at
title
least one
Iron
other
Book
book. What I don't know is if it's one of three, if it's the number 2 of 3, or if it's number 2 of 2 is or
I
more
want.
is what
I
Oh.
want. I want as many as
as
I can get.
I want a massive
I-
crawling space opera that takes me into the next.
Honestly, I don't, and let me explain why. As much as I want a second book, and as much as I will likely also want a third book, I am keenly aware of what tends to happen when you spiral into too many books.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so it's not that I don't want as much of this as I can get. Obviously, I do. But I do want to be cautious about saying, oh, like I don't know that I would read 12 fucking books of this. Mostly because maybe by the time of book 3, I want to read about another. The world, certainly, you could give me 100 books in this world, I would read it. But I definitely think that I would want other characters and other experiences as we go on.
I'm fine with all of that. You see this world building? Do I want 100 books in this? Yes.
Well, I mean, yes, that's what I just said. But but like I don't know that if you told me, to be fair, I binge, right? We all know that Kay will sit down and binge read 12 books in 4 days. It's happened. It's fine.
It will happen again.
It will happen
Yes.
again. I'll pick up something and that has a lot of books in this series, and I'll read the first book and just keep going. I'll just finish all 12 books. It's fine. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Cool. I don't know that I want to do that with this for a few reasons, that I already described, but also when you take that much goodness and you spread it out too much, then you get a smaller concentration of goodness. You know?
Want all of it.
I don't mind if it's all packed tightly together. I would prefer that even. you know, because then I'm constantly getting the
So
higher
you
quality.
it's just so you can binge it all together.
Right.
Yes.
It's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
And I guess I don't know. I am sure that the author is perfectly capable of writing 7 books of equal quality of this first one. But I don't know that I would survive 7 books like this one. I could survive 3 books like this one. I don't know if I could survive 7 books of Zetian. I don't. Like, that bitch will kill me. You understand what I'm saying?
If she does, I'd be more than happy for the honor.
It's fine. Yeah, no, I'm not saying I would die. I won't die happy. I'm saying that I have other things to do before dying. Like, that's all, right? Yeah, but I
No,
don't, I don't know.
I am perfectly
Like we need another novel from Micaiah Johnson first.
Well, we know we get in one.
She
We
has
already know
Like
we
I
get
can't. No, that's my point. We can't die because we got to be here for that novel when it comes out.
It's true.
Well, we haven't even gotten Iron Widow 2 yet, okay? So
No,
we can wait.
we will. Like I said, like I will take what I can get. But you know, and kind of my caveat would follow along Cares. Like I want it to be not forced on the author and not split out into just kind of like what a lot of novels and even just movies are doing in general these days, where I'm like, oh yeah, we got this book and we're gonna split it into 2, and I'm like, no, like what they're doing with Dune. Anyways,
To be fair, there are some books that you need to split into 2 just for logistical reasons, right?
I will say, I don't know if you guys been watching Foundation.
No, it's on my TV.
Okay.
My TV watch list though.
Yeah, that one I think what they're doing and breaking it into like a series was like brilliant, because like I've read those Isaac Asimov novels and like they're dense. You want to talk about dense? Like that's what I think about. And that's a lot to absorb and binge. I couldn't binge those novels if I tried.
I'm perfectly happy with whatever I get.
Yeah.
Right? And she can space herself up. I mean, she's young, so we can get several books out of her. You know, she's in
Oh
her
my
20s.
gosh, don't be like that. I do want to. Okay, I want to bring attention. Hold on, I want to bring attention to something. This is something that we were speaking about in the writing group that I'm in on Discord. That there are so many. I'm totally trying to sign into Goodreads to see what information I can read about book 2, and if it's like the finale or if it's just a book in the middle. Anyway, let me focus. Yeah,
If you want, I can check. I'm signed into Goodreads.
I signed in already. I just I tabbed out so that I could.
It happen.
Yeah.
I'm just here.
Yes. What damn it was I saying? Okay. Yes. So there was this conversation we were having the other day about how readers and fans end up getting, acting, feeling, whatever, incredibly entitled to a writer's work. Like how there are people, I think the example that we were using was George R.R. Martin, and how there are fans out there who are like, oh, you know, this man better write this book before he dies, or what happens if he dies and we don't get the ending of this book and shit. And it's like, yeah, okay, that might suck, but you know what would suck more is if a man dies. Like, would you? And then there's a period of time, I think, where, and I didn't follow any of this, so I'm just kind of recalling from the conversation that we had, where I think he took like a mental break, like it was becoming very difficult for him. And he needed to for mental health reasons to kind of step back from the books and from writing and whatever.
I mean, but he's also very self-admittedly a lazy writer, which I don't fault him for at all.
That's fine. That is his fucking business. But it doesn't matter if he's a lazy writer or not. Okay, you're not entitled to this. The only thing that should make him feel like he needs to write this book is because he signed a contract to write this next book. And he should still, let me finish. And even then, he should still just be able to say, I can write this, you know. So if I'm busting this contract, what are the, and contracts have terms. They have terms. Like if you're breaking the contract and you can't do X, Y, and Z, then if I paid you money for this, you just give it back and whatever else, right?
I was gonna take like the purer form of that and be like, no, the only reason why he should finish the story is because he feels obligated to.
No,
Like,
because he wants
But
to.
that's
because he still has a story to tell.
to tell. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Exactly.
Because
Right?
and not just that, these books
Like
are
his
his books in
commitments.
particular are character-driven books.
I don't
And
care.
to me,
I don't care if
the
it's
meter
character.
on
I don't care if he's
infamy
writing
is the
trash.
characters, no,
I don't care. I don't care what this book is driven by. You are not entitled
No.
to a writer's work. I don't care how many books you've bought. I don't care how many times you've taken a picture with this motherfucker. I
As a
don't care.
reader, what you're entitled to is when you pay your money for a book, you're entitled to what is inside of that book. End of story.
That's it. And that's the thing. Like that's kind of why I like you were like, oh, she's young, we can get so many books out of her. Bitch, no, that is not the attitude you should be having. Fuck
That
off.
is the attitude. What I'm saying, what I meant was, right, because you got a little personal there.
Oh.
The point is,
You know where we are right now?
I could explain myself.
I don't know. You just keep interrupting me. I find it's a nice vibe.
You find
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me explain myself then.
Go ahead.
What I meant was that, she has like if she chooses to, right, and she can build off of her vibe, right, she could continue to write, right. There was a time when we did not know if Stephen King was going to finish one of his series because he'd been very badly injured, right, and he was considering retiring from writing in the middle of the series, which if he did, I would have been fine because, again, protect yourself. But if she chooses and she's like, listen, this is a hell of a cash cow.
You're talking about ZHAO?
My life.
You're talking about ZHAO?
Yeah.
They,
my bad. If they choose and they say, listen, I like this cash cow, I go and milk it for all it's worth.
Oh, yeah.
But then entitled.
Yeah.
And if they feel so, and if they are so motivated, right? Because it's a cash cow, bitch, milk me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean,
I completely agree.
And you see, and that is what I was thinking more than anything else. And it's like they have the opportunity if they so choose. And I see that they have something else again. They have a middle grade book that also looks exciting.
I think it's from the Rick Riordan Presents series.
Okay.
I'm
And
very excited.
It looks good. And I have no issues with the age. You can put your book in any age bracket. If it's good, I'm going to like it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very
excited
for her. I am for
them.
I'm so excited for them. Right? And like if they choose to let this be the last thing they ever do, I am fine with it because they told the complete story. And if they choose to listen, I have the opportunity to write a fucking space opera and just milk bitches for the rest of my life because I have done
damn right
on this world building.
Damn right.
Look my credit card. Look my credit card.
Yeah.
What format you want it in?
It's true. Here, let me mortgage your house. Let me mortgage my house so that I can buy all of your books. I will do it. I would do it. I agree with you completely. Completely.
Is that what you want to do with your life? Do you want me to buy merch?
Yeah, completely.
Right? I would buy every t-shirt, every cap, I would buy everything. Everything.
I absolutely want a t-shirt that says be their nightmare.
Yes.
I want a t-shirt that says be their nightmare.
I will.
I want one, I'm your nightmare, just so that they know who come in.
I will buy that. I would buy that shirt for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am glad that we feel on the same page with that though. Because I do feel like people say that people do say shit like that easily, oh, this right away we get so many books out of them, or we do this, and there's so much pressure to, I think, in publishing to publish young, and they're like, oh, if you haven't done it by a certain age, then don't even bother, kind of bullshit. And I think that's kind of it's part of why I just feel so strongly about phrasing things in that particular way. It just feels, without having the opportunity, like you explained it there, without going into that, just the one statement, it's nasty, dog. It's a nasty thing to feel about other human beings, to think about other human beings. I am absolutely wiggling this laser for my cat because she will yell at me if I don't. It's that time of evening. Just in case anybody was curious about like what I'm doing here.
Having like human cats is absolutely no different. FYI.
I believe it. I believe it. But yeah, I am really excited.
Did you all read?
to see what else.
Did you all read the author's review in all caps
Of their own book?
of their own book? I love it. Yes.
What
'Cause
is
why
it?
not? When I tell you the chaos goblin, they are royalty, right? And my chaos goblin lives to serve. In all caps, enforce your last pathetic gender role patriarchy. Book cover. P.S. You can find more pretty art memes and the mecha designs on my website.
Did you look at them? The mecha designs. I saw them first. So I've been hearing about this book for a while. And then I saw the mecha designs on their Twitter. And I was like, wait a second. When people have been saying that this book is Pacific Rim X whatever the fuck, and it has mecha in it, it like actually does. And that was the day I pre-ordered this book. That was the day I pre-ordered this book. I was like, ha ha ha, mechas. That was it. I pre-ordered this book on that day within 5 minutes of seeing the art of the mechas. I hadn't even seen the cover at that point. I was like, is this book about mechas?
And even though this was my pick and my birthday pick, even though my birthday pick is not taking place, even in my birthday month.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
You bitch, please, okay? She's happy I brought this book forward. You don't.
Yes,
you
I am.
Come on.
I'm not mad.
Right.
I'm not
This
mad.
has been on your TBR for a long time. Remember when I said, what you think about this book? Right? You had said, hey, that's been on my TBR. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put it.
Well, I say, you see, it can't really have been for too long a time because it did only drop in September, and I would have pre-ordered it maybe in July or August.
Yeah. But this was a whole conversation that took. Did I preempt another book for this one? I know.
Yeah, you replaced it. You replaced another book with this one. The book is still on the list, but I don't remember what it is. The book is still on our review list. I just shunted it to next
But
year.
there's books that I'll come across and like somebody else will give us a rec, and I'll be like, okay, listen, that's a great idea. I want to put it right, and I'll like, is this something you're interested in? Like let me just check with everybody, and I am so glad that this was on other people's TBR. Because that means I did not add another book outside of, right? This is well within.
Why would that have been a bad thing? I feel it's a silly problem either way, to be honest. Like, either way would have been great.
I've been kind of struggling getting, like,
I've
been struggling with reading time, but I've been having a few struggles, and I've been making some choices. And some of the choices I've been making have been to sacrifice my reading time. But that's because I'm working on things, right?
Yeah.
So, so to get and some of the things that I have to read span more than because I have to refer to it in like reference books and so on.
Let me say, like, in my mind, I'm trying to think about how and who I could compare. What's her first name? Zetian.
Zetian.
Yeah,
Zetian.
woo. But I'm trying to think like what are other like strong female Zetian. Thank you.
Zetian.
Empress Wu.
I'm trying to remember what YouTube told me now. God damn it.
Empress Wu.
I think it's Tian.
It's Empress Wu.
Empress Wu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier.
Anyways, a little bit easier for my Western brain. Anyways, so I'm trying to think and I'm struggling with what other like strong female characters like that I could compare her to, right? And like and this is just kind of for the sake of trying to draw other people into like reading this. And so for me, I kind of find her somewhere between like an Arya Stark and Elizabeth Salander.
That's Good with the Dragon.
Yeah.
That too, yeah. Which, by the way, that's like a great example of a series that once you kind of like it got published posthumously after the author had died, and then they actually had he had like written down all of his notes about like where he wanted the story to go. So he like had the first 3 novels, and then they had to go through this huge search to find another author to take it up.
I think they've done that with a few, right? I think was it Wheel of Time?
Yeah, they did that with Wheel of Time.
June Herbert also had several books that they ended up writing.
Did
stuff on after.
In terms of characters that I see,
and McCaffrey too. I think his son took over some of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, what was that, Talia?
No, I was trying to remember her name, but I couldn't. The 2 characters in fiction, in media that I think of when I see Zetian is, yes, Arya, but Philippa's Giorgio.
Ooh, okay.
But from the alternate universe.
Yeah.
Alternate universe.
Alternate universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alternate universe. Philippa is just Zetian. Zetian like 10 years from now. Yeah. It's 10 years later.
Yeah.
Can you not right now, my darling?
And then when I thought of
this, I must.
when I was like mentally casting, because I was just trying to like ground the characters into characters that I knew already, right? When she said that she was gonna kill this man, I'm like, alternate universe, Giorgio. Yeah. It's like, who can I kill to solve a problem today? Right? It's like that's her mentality versus Yeezy when he said, if you can't throw money at a problem, then you don't have enough money to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Right? Versus her who's like, if you have a problem, you murder to solve your problem. If you can't murder them, then you don't have enough murder to solve that problem. That is who she is. That is who both those characters are.
Yes.
And I loved it.
100%.
Going to take over the world. I loved it.
Yes.
100%. Oh my god.
That was very much a Pinky and the Brain moment, though. It's like, what are you going to do now, Zetian? Like, well, I'm going to take over the brain. Okay. I'm going to take over the world. Okay.
Let's do it.
Right. Go through.
Yeah.
They kill we man. Not
I
they
love
kill your man. They kill we man. Go through.
Also, hat tip to Yeezy's fuck you moment. When he literally blew into pieces. And he came back and he was like, Kiss, I believe you. Do you hear my child yelling at me, Lisa?
Listen, I ball out and I was like, oh my god!
Right?
I ran outside.
He's just like,
it's like, what? I said, you gotta read this book and I run back inside.
For me, that was like pure snaps for me. I was just like, yeah, boy. Yeah.
Get it, yeah.
Get it done.
So, it's not what you think it is. I feel so.
That was so smooth, though. So smooth.
You saw on Facebook where my friend said, I haven't read the post yet, but I agree with you?
Yes. I didn't read the post, but I saw the comment, the clip. I saw
right. It's like, listen, I agree with it. It really doesn't matter what you said. It don't matter what the clip is, but whatever you said, I agree with you. And I felt that, like, when I read that afterwards, I was like, yeah, he had that moment, your real ones, Are the same person?
Yeah.
Like she
loved it.
She started to feel that little bit of shame, like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this. Right? And he's like, listen, I am back you. I show up.
That is real love.
That's real love. That's real love. Yeah. That is day ones for you.
The added lull factor when the emperor is like, but inflation, is that still a lot of money? That is a big number.
I like that he was cautious about it. Like, that's the plenty money, right? That was a Dr. Evil throwaway line, from the Austin.
Yes.
I want $1 million. Like, well, that's not much, Okay, I want $1 billion. Yeah, that was at that moment.
That was that moment.
That was
loved
like
that
the
so much.
Easter eggs and the little references to other things. It was like,
As we talk about that, I am really eager to see who the emperor is, because we don't know anything about him. He's a legend,
Yeah.
right? He's
Yeah.
he's myth.
Yeah.
I'm really eager and interested in seeing who he is, how his character moves from this moment, right? Like discovering all those things we discussed about his position in the world building and his role prior to being frozen. You know, in addition to all of those world building things and those history things, like who is that character? Does he become an ally? Does he become a pawn? I doubt. I mean, to be fair, if anybody could make a pawn of him is Miguel, but you know, is that who he is? What you know, how do they get Shimin back? You know, what are the conditions? What are the subtle methods of controlling Zetian? Excuse me, that the gods will use, and what part of that will be part of Shimin's body when it's revived? Right? What are they going to do about controlling Shimin? And I think that that's also so interesting here in Shimin's character. Shimin is kind of the eternal victor.
yes,
He's always being used. He was used by the army, the government.
he was used by his brothers to start with and his family because
Well,
remember, he was fighting in the pits. Well, not the
no, but
pits.
he did that to pay for school.
Yeah, but then that is victim because that was your parents' job.
But his parents couldn't afford it. That was the impression I got, that his family actually couldn't afford to send him to school. That's how he ended up in the pits. He used his pits money to pay for his own schooling.
So you mean to tell me nobody could have said, okay, this boy real bright and say, well, help him out to a scholarship or nothing, right?
They
But
did.
the system,
Not, I mean, I don't know what scholarship.
he wasn't abused by his family then, but he was definitely a victim because of the systemic.
Yeah. But that's about the system, right? I think that everybody is abused by the system unless you are in that 1%, right? That's just, I think that's kind of understood. What I mean is that from the moment he made his decision to save this good, and this is another thing, is that again we're looking at this at the level of misogyny here, is that his decision to protect a woman, to fight for a woman, to do something, to do right by you know, a woman, basically turned him into a victim, a pawn for the rest of his life. Because Zetian uses him, the army uses him, Simali, Yi, for example, he just used him, right? From start to finish, he's completely, you know, he doesn't have any autonomy any longer, right? And I think even now in this time, the one of the few conscious decisions he's really been able to make was to save those two and sacrifice himself. And even that is taken away from him. And now he's once again going to be a pawn, a victim. I do not doubt that there's going to be something that happens to him physically that he will not be able to control himself because of something that they choose to do to him in order to exert
control
power over Zetian. Yeah?
Zetian,
yeah. Okay, so we will probably end up going a little bit past our 2-hour mark, but for the sake of making sure that everybody gets home or gets wherever the hell they have to go on time-ish, at least, let's start our closing thoughts. Shay, why don't you go first, and then Talia, and then I'll wrap up.
Right. So, okay, I think, let's see, I love this book. I really did. I would probably say again that this will probably take my top spot for favorite book of the year. And that's literally just because like I got taken for a ride and I enjoyed every second of it. Like I am still reeling from it all. In the end, I think I definitely want to go back and reread this because, you know, there are definitely some areas where I'm like, okay, like I need to like go back and kind of reabsorb some of this and see, you know, are these different plot points really being driven by like what I, was getting caught up in it and everything. But that's kind of what I love about these types of novels, where there's so many things going on. The plot moves incredibly fast and in such a, in so many unexpected ways that, these are the things that make it feel refreshing and upbeat, and the things that, I think makes a really good novel, because, you're really taking your readers on a journey, on an experience, and it was just done in such a beautiful way. Man, I couldn't say enough about this book. I think at the same time, though, this is grounded in a lot of realistic things. Having lotus feet, that's a really like real thing that's still happening today, right? I mean, having all these perceptions and just misogynistic things still very much so happening to women, not just in like modern society, but like all throughout the world. Women are still very much so oppressed. And I think this kind of is a beautiful representation of, in how different levels of society, how women can be just treated and knocked down, and yet held on these pedestals of desire and just utter, like, I don't know how to describe it, but like just they look like these desirable people, but they're worthless in the end of the day. All of their worth is muted by their oppressors, right? And I think that was just something else that really drew me to this book, and I couldn't get enough of it. It was something that I kind of want to hold up to the rest of the world and say, the next time someone mansplains something to me, I'm going to hit them upside the head with this book.
Be their nightmare.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I highly recommend this to everyone, that everyone should read this. And, you don't have to be a feminist or someone who's looking to, to be, taught a lesson necessarily. I think, you can pick this up and enjoy it, right? It's not a political statement. It is a novel. It is a story with some very real statements that you can draw from it as well, which I think makes perfect YA literature.
That means you next, Talia.
Yeah.
So this book is so realistic in terms of like the human characters and what human characters will do to maintain their sense of superiority, and how even the oppressed can buy into things that oppress them. And there's a quote on Iron Widow that I'd forgotten. I had to stop when I saw it initially, and then I saw it again. The entitled assholes of the world are sustained by girls who forgive too easily. Right? And like, there's a thing about sci-fi that a lot of people think it's unrealistic, and it's like, no, you take people and you put them you take them literally off world, and you give them everything this society doesn't have, and they are going to find a way to be human, because that is the nature of human nature. You know what I mean? So right through, we were talking about how well crafted the misogyny is, and we go right back into colonization, which is an entitlement of other people's land. And that is what they did. They went to someone else's land, someone else's planet, and they set up their colonies. Right? Again, another aspect of entitlement, which is a hallmark of patriarchy, etc., that is little spoken of. It's again goes back to that entitlement. We go back to all these little girls whose lives were lost because someone else was entitled to their life, right? We look at the fathers, the parents, the entire families, anything that had to do with Zetian. I've yet to hear them be happy for her, for her, just her mere existence, even her marriage was supposed to solidify something for the brother. Everything was about the brother, nothing was for them, right? And their lives were literally just thrown away at every single point, even when their own lives depended on it. It was, again, all about their brother. Like, think of your brother. Not, whoa, if they catch you, they'll kill you. Like, reconsider, it might not be too late to get pardoned or whatever, right? Like, it was still all about the brother. And it's like, but this book, it just, like, it didn't just highlight that women alone have worth and men are throwaways, you know, like, it didn't just flip the script. It's like, each and every person has value, each and every person has worth, even in their triangle. You know what I mean? And again, at the end of the day, I mean, it was a joke. It was done as a joke that the triangle is the strongest shape. But it was true. They needed Easy in that in that machine thing, whatever, brain going. Right. English. That's happening. Like, that happened. Right? They needed him. And at every point in time, they needed each other. Like, Miguel and I have a joke, like, maybe what we need to strengthen our relationship with each other is a proper sugar daddy like Easy, right? That was a joke that, you know, lifestyles need funding, man. Come on, man.
Is that a joke?
It was a joke.
I was laughing.
You laugh long enough, it becomes reality, so let it be a joke. Right? Where was I? Right. So back to the book. Right. And there's aspects of that, you know, of the parents and it, that was just, it upset me, but it upset me because I've seen it. At no point have I, you know, and then the girls being handicapped in the cockpit. I've seen it. Girls are not as strong as boys. I've seen it. Girls are not as smart as boys. I've seen it. When at every point in time you are being handicapped. I can give you all stories, but irrelevant to this one. I loved every aspect of this book, right? There were some great quotes that you can get from it. That is just, you know, I can't wait to see more from this. I mean, I could wait. I will wait because, you know, there's other books out there, or so I'm told, right? But I am truly excited to see this person's career. I'm truly excited. I do not think that this book will be any less. I think they're just getting started. I definitely think they're just getting started. And I just need to subscribe. Like, apparently they have a Patreon, so let's do that too, if we can afford it. Okay, you mute.
That's okay. That was on purpose because I thought you were still talking. I was talking to myself.
Okay. No, talk to us. We good. But yeah, I love it. I recommend it. And y'all know how much I love Space Between Worlds. Yeah, it's up there. I think we have a real we have a genuine debate when we're doing our annual wrap up.
Yeah,
December. I'm not debating a goddamn thing. They are both number one, and you can be. You know why? Love is infinite.
Love is infinite. Yeah, but we get to talk about 2 books in one video, so you know that is why.
And we can. We don't need to choose.
I can't
need to choose.
Oh, but we will debate, and we will
debate because that's fun.
Fair enough. Okay, so I guess it's my turn.
Your turn.
I actually want to disagree with Shayna just a little bit that this book wasn't political, because I think all art is political.
Yeah, okay.
That's yeah, okay. And I think that but I still do agree that that makes it great for a young adult audience. I think that I can't think of a single thing I didn't like about this book. I loved the way it was crafted. I thought the writing was fantastic. The breadcrumbs for all of the different pieces that were being woven together were laid carefully and well from start to finish. You know, and I think that if you could keep me guessing as a reader, if you could keep me uncertain, if you could keep me unsteady and invested, you've done a fantastic job. And I think that this book did that and then some from beginning to end. I would absolutely recommend this to anyone and everyone. I, like Sheena, will probably find myself a physical copy to slap people upside the head with whenever they're mansplaining to me. Yeah, I think that the two of you've covered it. I think if I give my closing thoughts, I just replay this video. So I loved it. I loved it. Fantastic book. Hashtag be their nightmare, y'all. The next time we meet will be 2 weeks from now, when we will be talking about Cambion's Law by Erin Fulmer, who is a friend of mine. I was very fortunate to get a copy of an advanced reader's copy. I was to get an advanced reader's copy, not a copy of a copy, you know. But I got that, and I was able to read it because I did pre-order the book, but I was able to read it this week gone. It drops on Tuesday. I highly recommend it if you're into urban fantasy. It's a great urban fantasy. I think our hashtag for 2 weeks from now will be consent is sexy, because that's a big theme in this book, and it's really hot. It's hot. It's hot because consent is hot. So long story short, 7 out of 5 for Iron Widow. Go get your hands on a copy of this.
15 out of 10 for me, because
for Iron Widow, 7 out of 10.
15.
Oh, 15 out of 10.
We're gonna talk about like spirit pressure, right? And being like tens of thousands. Like, yeah, we there. Fair
enough. So 2 weeks, Cambion's Law. I think that's it, Dolia. That's it. We go on. I go on because people had to leave. Bye.
Peace.